Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're doing something a little different. Instead of digging through piles of reports, we're trying to really get at the significance of just one very short headline. It's an interesting way to look at information.
It really is. Sometimes in this flood of information we live in, the most critical thing isn't the exhaustive detail. It's just the plain fact that something big happened.
Hmm.
It's a signal, right? A marker that things might be changing,
Yeah.
even before we know exactly how.
Okay, right. Let's unpack this then. Our source is The Guardian, and the headline we're diving into is, well, it's simple but powerful. Trump tax bill passes Congress. So there it is. Trump tax bill passes Congress. A major law, specifically about taxes, made it through. For anyone watching policy, just seeing that headline confirms a win for the people pushing for it. The contents aren't here, but the passage itself. What does that passage tell us about the political climate at that moment, beyond just, ticking a box?
Well, what's really key there is the action. The headline confirms it passed. That immediately says something about political will, about building a successful coalition. It means an idea, maybe a controversial one, moved past debate. It's now a done deal, legislatively speaking. That shows, real political muscle
Yep.
and alignment on getting this specific thing done.
And it's a tax bill. That seems important, too, even without knowing the rates, the deductions, any of that. Tax laws inherently touch almost everyone, every business. So what does the passage of that kind of bill suggest about maybe the economic direction,
Yeah.
even without the fine print?
That's a great point, yeah. Passing a major tax bill, it almost always signals a shift or at least a statement about economic philosophy. It implies choices are being made, maybe favoring certain industries or income levels or types of investment. It gives you an immediate clue about the government's thinking on sort of resource allocation or economic incentives. It sets a tone, a broad direction.
Right, sets a direction. And this headline, it marks that shift from idea to actual law. Assuming it gets signed, of course, it still needs the president's signature to become official law. But it's that moment Congress acts, isn't it? A bill is just talk until it passes. This headline says, okay, it's now a real legal instrument. What does that specific change, that operational step, trigger next?
Exactly. That jump from concept to, well, concrete law.
Yeah.
That's when the practical stuff really starts kicking in. The focus shifts immediately, doesn't it? Away from the arguing in Congress to, okay, how does this actually work? You've got agencies starting to gear up, thinking about new rules. Businesses are probably already crunching numbers, resetting plans. Individuals, too, they start wondering, what does this mean for me? The passage is like the first domino falling. It sets off all these other adjustments.
Yeah, a chain reaction. So, wrapping up our source today, the core fact is simply Trump tax bill passes Congress.
Yeah.
Our deep dive wasn't about the bill's details, but about what that single event the passage communicates politically, economically, operationally.
Right. And this leaves you with an interesting question to think about. What does the mere passage of a big tax bill through Congress really tell you? What does it reveal about political power, about the dominant economic ideas, and about the immediate shifts that start happening across the country? Even before you know every single detail written into the law, it sort of encourages you to consider the ripple effects of just the legislative action itself.
Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for joining us for this rather focused deep dive today.